Today we're revisiting the nerdy comic book table, which you know you had back in high school, to talk about the impact of a very emotional Marvel comic. Hello everyone, and thank you for downloading episode 12. Wow, 12 of these darn things already. You have a lot of options for podcasts. You keep downloading this one accidentally. I don't know why, but you know what? I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Listen, I'm going to keep it simple for today's episode, and I want to talk about some things I've been seeing on the interwebs. As we're getting closer to 9/11, a lot of people who are fans in the comic book industry, not so much, I'm not talking the movies, I'm talking about the actual like books themselves, which yes, that is a thing. And one of the topics that come up in conversation I've been noticing are people bashing issue 36 of The Amazing Spider-Man, which came out in December of 2001, called The Black Issue, which this one spoke about the 9/11 terror attacks and the reaction of them. So the thing is, like, I feel like from what I've been seeing on the from responses from folks, like 80% of the people absolutely adore. They think this book is beautiful and heartwarming and just hits on so many levels. But there's always the 20% or so who say that this was a cash grab. Certain things like this should stay out of comic books, and that it's pathetic, basically, in so many words. And there are people I've talked to about this, and these people tend to be a little on the younger side. So there's a few different points I want to hit on this issue. So first of all, I want to just talk about the people who put this book together. So we're talking about, at this time, I'm looking at the list, it was written by J. Michael Straczynski, who personally I think is a phenomenal writer. John Romita Jr. on pencils, who is, I mean, he's probably, in terms of the top 5 active pencilers in the business, perhaps, arguably. He's one of the big names. No matter what you think about him, you can't argue his star credentials there. But at the same time, we have Scott Hanna on inks and Dan Kemp on colors. I'm bringing this up because this is a very star-studded, strong team. And they're very popular when they all work together, I feel. And they know how to work together and put out, when they want to pull on the heartstrings, they know how to pull on the heartstrings. They know how to put out the action. They know how to put out comedy if they want to. So they're good. They're basically good is what I'm trying to say, to put it out there for people who maybe aren't in the know. And in this issue, in terms of the actual Marvel characters, you have Spider-Man, obviously, as the number one character. But you have the X-Men. You have the Fantastic Four. You have the Avengers. You have some of the supervillains as well. You have Magneto. You have Doctor Doom. You have Kingpin. And, of course, you have New Yorkers. And you have the New York Police Department. And you have the fire department. And you have the EMT workers in a very, very powerful issue. Now, again, this came out December 2001, obviously 9/11. So they pumped this thing out fast. And at a time where, again, for those who are too young, I won't emphasize that. I need to emphasize that. The feeling was very raw still. It was very emotional still. People were still looking for answers. People still had hope of finding others. And people were going in different directions to try to find something to cope with, something to connect with. And I think this issue kind of hit it on all angles. So I rarely ever would do this to somebody, but I want to just kind of flip through the book at the moment. So the book came kind of in the middle of a storyline that they had. So Marvel I think it was Axel Alonso was the editor in chief. Yes, he wanted. I'm sure this is an assumption by everybody at Marvel. Probably they wanted to get this book out there as fast as possible. And the first page, I feel like, kind of just emphasizes that. It's just simple text on a black page that says, "We interrupt our regularly scheduled program to bring you the following special bulletin." And then there's a 2-page spread that just had the collapse of the World Trade Center and Spider-Man just in disbelief. The colors, the scene that Romita drew, just absolutely beautiful. And every word that J. Michael Straczynski had, not just this page, but in everything, was just unbelievable. People running away, people who are workers who were already there at the rubble, and just seeing the insurmountable odds of trying to clean up, trying to help, try to find somebody. And as I'm flipping through, you have J. Michael Straczynski's words coming through the head of Spider-Man and everything, or his thoughts, I guess I should say, with regular average Joes working with these Marvel characters, these larger-than-life characters, trying to help out. This is where the colors, I think, really, really just pop here and there. You have a crying Doctor Doom when he sees the chaos. You have Magneto trying to help out by like moving the beams and everything. And it's just something that you've never really seen. You're looking at the firefighters going above and beyond, trying to remember the fallen and everything. And there's emphasis about how New Yorkers are saving New Yorkers. It's just absolutely beautiful. And it makes you feel good. It makes you cry. Again, flipping through the comics some more, Spider-Man trying to help a young boy, but that boy seeing his dead father and everything being carried away. And as he is, Spider-Man that is, while he is just heartbroken, on the floor, you see firefighters, you see police officers just going right back into the rubble, helping out. You're seeing Captain America in anger and disbelief, and just wondering what's going to happen next. And the fact that New Yorkers, Americans, will come together no matter their backgrounds, and they will stand tall and get bounced back together. That is the ultimate summary I can probably give for a comic book, just flipping through. And to people who say that, who are too young, realize that people needed an outlet. People just needed something. Game shows, reality TV, whatever. Like, people just needed to have something to grasp, to hold on to. For people that said that this was a cash grab, let's be honest. So the Marvel Universe is based, majority of these guys are based in New York. Not addressing 9/11 would have been like the biggest elephant in the room. I honestly think they would have been lambasted for not mentioning 9/11 in some capacity. Now, in future issues, they would have the ribbon, and they would have the Twin Towers logo next to the legacy numbers, or the numbers I should say. And in the books, they would have like hats on, FDNY, NYPD sort of thing. But not going above and beyond with at least just one issue. I'm not saying they had to do it across the board. I think would have been very foolish and ridiculous because you're ignoring that pink elephant in the room. In terms of, you got to keep some of these things out of comics. I mean, let's remember the reason why Captain America became so big was because of Hitler, was because of the World War. Major issues like the drug crisis back in the I don't know if it's fair to say crisis. I don't know. Everyone uses that word, that phrase, I feel like, so much now. But the fact on how they had to introduce drugs into Spider-Man with Harry Osborn Jr., Norman Osborn, excuse me, I'm mixing up some of my characters and the creators now. Norman Osborn with his, and Harry Osborn, like their relationship with the drugs and everything from way back when with the comic book code. things that do cross over. I'm not saying you have to put every little detail. I'm not saying you have to have every kind of civil rights or topic, I guess I should say, in a comic. But this was just absolutely monumental at the time. And Spider-Man, again, the biggest character that Marvel has. So you just had to address it at least the one time. And the next issue, they went right back to that storyline that they did have, which is a personal favorite storyline of mine, nonetheless. But these are the things that they had to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this. If they did other issues outside of the main storyline. I did a few like kind of mini series and some other things about people about like 9/11 in a way. But in terms of like the main storylines, like this is fine. This was great, monumental, and personally, I think I mean, I don't think from my point of view I'll ever read a better comic book because that one issue just was so emotional with everything going on in the world. Or our own backyard. I mean, heck, you could see where the Twin Towers used to stand and everything like that from most of the places where I was, and I've been to the Twin Towers and driven past, that general area 1,000 times. So, yeah, that's my comic book geek rant of the day. Do you guys have any other opinions? Am I wrong? Do you think I'm right? I don't know. Let me know. Whichever platform I'm posting this on or you're checking it out. You can check me out as MontesMayhem, MontesMayhem, all across the board on social media. You can also hit me up at gmail.com. I think I have some Spider-Man stuff on the eBay store. You can check that out in the link, which is really the best way to support me. And until then, guys, thank you very much. We'll talk some more, try something a little bit more lighthearted, maybe. Probably not, because I have an idea what I want my next episode to be. And I'll talk to you later. Take it easy. Bye.